Hola, familia estelar. You did not land here by chance. You have indeed entered into a sacred world-line collision. This message has materialized into your reality and downloaded into a third-dimensional experience because you were broadcasting a new signal. Now, reality is receiving this. I'm seeing the quantum field is receiving this transmission that you've been putting out, and this is something subconsciously that's been going on within your inner realms. That's what I'm seeing it as. And it's your new state of homeostasis that you've been able to be seated within. And it feels like you're seated in the eternal now, you're seated within this eternal presence. And because of that, you've refined your signal. That's what I'm seeing. You're a lot more intentional, or at least lately, you've been a lot more intentional in regards to your quality of thoughts, your quality of emotions, right? The bioelectrical charge that you're putting into the system. And reality is now reinforcing these new timelines to you. So I feel like there's a new selection of timelines that's opened up, and it's leading to you really entering to a new realm, or a new realm entering around you. That's what it feels like. It feels like things that you're drawing in that invites resonance with other souls over validation, or over even external permission to be seated in this knowing. You know, that's almost what it feels like. And the more that you've come into the 0 point, the less that you're concerned or influenced or affected by the things outside of yourself. And it feels like this is an exercise that you've been mastering, but the world is adjusting to this new frequency that you're emitting. Also, another message I was getting was, you know who it is that you're becoming, even if the world doesn't see it yet. It's like the world is catching up with what has transpired within your inner world. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at what's going on, but I feel like you're ready to be seen differently, but only by those who can truly see. As you've cleared up a lot of belief systems that have distorted the way that you've seen yourself, well, it's led to you ascending into a higher octave. And because you're operating in a higher vibrational bandwidth, because of the depths that you've met yourself, which is the paradox, the deeper that you go within, the higher dimensional planes that you're able to navigate. Not everyone can literally see you because you're not operating in the same plane of consciousness. And there's also other beings that occupy these realms. So it's very complex, but what I'm seeing is you've now been introduced with a new domain or layer of this reality that has always existed. And that was also another message I was getting. I was seeing how you are this truth that has been wrapped in this mystery, and there's a mystery within you that others are seeing, but you've been unraveling this cloak. You know, it's almost like you've been unraveling and revealing something about your core essence, maybe through this new embodiment, the things that you do, and also the things that you no longer are choosing to do. But it's like the nature of this life, right? I'm not telling you anything new here. I'm simply lifting the veil and showing you what already exists. And I'm seeing you tune into a layer of this reality that has always existed, not just around you, but it's a projection from what exists already within you innately. So it just feels like you're becoming one with the ebbs and flows of this universal rhythm, where you're moving very detached in this matrix, you know, detached from the opinions of others, detached from the things that are going on in this energetic stimuli, and it's not stimulating the same biochemical responses that it once did within the vessel, right? Things that used to trip over, you're walking over now, you're able to fly over with ease. I'm just seeing you cultivate this, okay, bring myself back to the center, bring myself back to the center again. And this is like a state of homeostasis, and the universe is responding to this. So yeah, let's see. I'm going to take a look at the energy around you first and foremost. So what are you broadcasting? Let's take a look at that. What are you broadcasting? There's a new signal that you're broadcasting. Okay, you have 2 cards. You have X-rays and dark nebula. Okay, so what you're broadcasting is the fact that you are, again, tuning in to seeing this realm through the lens of the soul. You know, I'm hearing like, what are you looking at? And it's not that you're looking at anything, right? Because it's not that you cannot see the things that others can look at, but you can also now see a layer of this construct that not everyone can see, right? It's like you're actually seeing, because X-ray talks about, well, doctors trust what the X-ray shows them, even though their physical eyes cannot see it. So it's about seeing further than the human eyes, seeing this experience further than the human eyes. Now, what's interesting, you might want to take a look at where Pluto went retrograde in your chart, because Pluto is stationed direct and we have retrograde here at the base. But I'm seeing this as Pluto that's kind of gone oh my gosh, we have Pluto right behind that. Yeah, definitely Pluto, right? This is about an unavoidable transformation, right? Pluto's gone out of bounds. And, you know, I heard the saying by Jimmy, he was like, it's like Pluto out of bounds is, you know, kind of gone wild because they're a little bit untamed, you know, it's almost like it's not within the vicinity, it's happening. And Pluto represents a psyche, right? So it's this conversation that's happened with the interface of where your soul has met physical matter. And that was another message I was getting around the first house and the 12th house, how you've manifested into form, because the first house represents how consciousness, the non-physical, takes form within the body. It represents the aura and also the immediate instinct that the spirit has for like self-expression in this realm, right? How the soul wishes to express itself. And it's just something about you expressing yourself unapologetically because of an internal, almost like soul review, you know? That's what Pluto retrograde can be, but in a specific area of your chart. So maybe it's like 5th house, creative projects that you want to do. Maybe it's 4th house, like home and family, your emotional inner world. Maybe it's 10th house, it's been impacting your career, you know, so on and so forth. But, you know, he said that Pluto out of bounds is like a kid unsupervised with a bottle of ketchup. I don't know if you guys have seen kids and they have like this bottle of ketchup and, you know, they're going to eat, you know, not the ketchup with their food, but they're eating food with their ketchup, you know, kind of energy. So that's what I'm seeing it as. It's almost like there's something that you've done that's a little bit untamed, and it could be just a revelation that you've had within yourself, because Pluto excavates things, right? It shows you what it is that's already there, and it feels like you're coming back with some type of wisdom where you've traveled to the end of the cosmos and you've come back and there's something that you've integrated into your being, and now you're doing things that feel like they're soul-led, right? Because Pluto is almost like, it's also the judgment card, it's also the death card, right? And that's what I was seeing. It's like you're in this liminal space between realms where reality is responding to this new normal. It's responding to this new state of being that you have cultivated and are also sustaining, right? So Dark Nebula talks about, well, you cannot see this dark cluster or patch of stars without the help of the telescope. And the telescope in this deck basically talks about, okay, this is an interesting reading. Okay, the telescope also talks about, you know, seeing further than the human eye can see. Now, this is very, very interesting because Pluto talks about basically falling out of alignment with something that once felt aligned with you once upon a time, but it just feels like you've learned something about yourself. We have collapse behind this, right? So it's about system failure, something collapsing, and it's kind of rewriting everything in your life. And if you think about an explanation point, it almost enhances something that has been said, something that has been embodied. It's like it's a sentence enhancer of some kind, and it's also a stopping point. That's what I'm seeing. It's almost like a turning point and something that solidifies what it is that you've said, what it is that you've done. It's something that is finalized. You know, it's almost like, okay, that sentence is finite and it's enhanced. So it feels like this is like a chapter. And this was another energy as well that I was getting channeling, like right before this reading. I was talking about, what was I talking about? It was like a message. Oh, let me see if I can get it back. Let me see. Oh yeah, so you may think that this has nothing to do with how you've made peace with your past and also how you've made peace with, you know, the contrast that you've experienced in this realm, but it's in you actually finding that peace, right? Finding that neutral point that is actually beginning to lead to all of these upcoming shifts that you're going through. Now, Pluto ends up meeting a new soul tribe. So I feel like there is something that you see upon the distance that not everyone else sees. Maybe it's a vision, you know, maybe it's a creative project. Maybe it's about just the trajectory that your life is moving through or into, but not everyone can see it with the telescope. Again, there's just something that you're seeing in regards to the nature of this construct. There's something that you're seeing where it feels like you ventured off. I'm seeing into the 12th house and then you're coming back into the 1st house. So it feels like you're kind of being reborn. but there's almost like a rebirth in your vision, a rebirth in your, eyesight. But I'm talking about this eye, there's like an awakening, it's like there's a third eye activation that has taken place. So it's just you're seeing things that you didn't see before. Maybe this is about other potential realities for yourself that are readily available for you to experience, and now you're able to align yourself with that because there's just this knowing that you have. But there's something that you've excavated, there's something that you've recovered, and it feels like memory of some kind. So what you're broadcasting is someone, and if you look at the x-ray, this is so interesting, right? This is what I'm seeing right now. You see that dark cluster of stars within the x-ray? Is this going to focus right? You see it. This is like the dark nebula, right? But then if you zoom in with a telescope, you have this. So I just feel like you're a mystery. Like, not everyone can see you, and that's okay. Not everyone can see you, and that's okay. So let's see, what you're broadcasting is, Pluto is also someone that can be misunderstood. They're just no longer reinforcing the same belief systems that others have identified them as, and it feels like a rebirth that you've gone through. This is like an identity rebirth of some kind, because a version of you that had believed certain things about themselves or their potential or this reality has shifted. And as you've been reborn, those belief systems that were attached to that old version of self are no longer even within the same wavelength. That's what it feels like. There's just something that you've done. Let's see what this is. Tell me about what's going on. What have you discovered or uncovered? This is too good. This is too good. I'm like so psychic. And I'm joking, but like not really. This is crazy. What did I just tell you? I love this. This is why I enjoy tarot. Like, I don't ever need the cards, but I like using the cards just because it's fun to, especially when you see things like this happen. Okay, so because I'm still having a human experience, right? It's cool to have the third density things to be able to show you. Like, I know what I'm talking about, but this is just now you know. Okay, so X-ray, dark nebula. You've used the telescope, right? And it's like now there's a mystery that you are. It's like, again, you are, and we literally spoke about that. It's like you are the nature of this life, but also this truth that you've discovered, but wrapped in mystery. And truth is multidimensional, right? Truth is subjective. Two truths can be true at one time. I'll give you an example. Let's say we're going to go on a flight together, and we have this friend, and this friend is scared of airplanes, right? Petrified of airplanes, and they're kind of facing their fear, and maybe we have no issue with it. So this person's truth, right, this man or woman's truth, is that they are scared to go on this airplane. Their truth is that they feel fear rising within their body. Their truth is that they are scared to get on this. Our truth may be different, right? Your and my truth may be different. So we can get on that plane knowing that we have already arrived at our destination. That timeline already exists for us. We're just going to watch the linear unfoldment of that. Therefore, we know we are safe. Therefore, we know we are stable within the body. And there's just a different, again, altered states of consciousness that you're moving through this construct with, So let's take a look at telescope, and so it is, it is already done. It already exists. The telescope. I'm going to read this verbatim just because I want to do it justice, the fact that it came out, So intuition, making zoom in, increased vision. So it's almost like you can see what's going on within the architecture of those around you. Increased vision. We are part of a channel that goes both up and down with the same interplanetary importance. A microscope and telescope are tools which prevent us from missing out of the micro and the macro, but they are not necessary for a cosmic consciousness. And truth is multidimensional, so there could be a truth within us, right? That, okay, maybe there is that subconscious fear of getting on the plane, but there's also other dimensions that exist within us. And they're not spatial concepts, that's what the brain is formatted to believe. It's almost even emotions that can be organized via vibrational frequency. So there's different frequencies that are coexisting within you. You know, there can be fear, but there can also be that level of, you know, acceptance. Like coexist. It's like, okay, if we go down, I'm seeing 2:2 on the clock. Yeah, so 2:22 on the microwave shows about, you know, it talks about polarity and those dualistic aspects existing within you, right? So yeah, however, we can achieve cosmic consciousness without the need for external objects. The telescope refers to the object that we're all aware of as a tool which allows us to see further than the human eye can. So again, it's like you're looking at it through the lens of the human, fear, possibly. We're looking at it through the lens of the soul, oh, it's already done, you know? So again, you're looking at it in the quantum. I can arrive at my destination before my arrival in the physical, right? I can take myself there visually, you know, energetically. I can take myself in every other way. The physical is just the last thing to happen in this construct. So this captures the display of celestial bodies. The card refers to our inner telescope, the mental power to see beyond what our eyes are able to. And this is what the third eye does. You can preview your destiny before it unfolds, right? You can gain a glimpse into that outcome before it unfolds in what we are experiencing in real time, which is not really real time. It's just reality catching up with what already exists. So this card refers to our inner telescope. It also talks about planets that are out there, that we are able to see them thanks to a telescope. We know that there are energies around us, and if we use our inner telescope effectively, we'll be able to see them too. So it's, you know what this is? If you put Pluto in a room, this is Plutonic energy, like all of this. Well, you know, he's not really going to announce anything, or she's not really going to announce anything. There is this mysterious, just reminiscent energy of the all-seeing eye. And Pluto holds this, you know, it's almost like the mysteries of this universe, like this book. But the thing is, Pluto understands that if I gave you this book right now to read, this book right here, right, The Cosmos of the Oracle, and you weren't using the lens of the soul, it's like a... Have you guys ever had those diaries as a child and it's like invisible ink, and oh my god, it's so cool, right? At that age, it's like, oh my gosh, this invisible ink, this is awesome. But then you can't see what it is that you've written unless you use what the black light, right? And the black light shows that there's so much more to be discovered. So the black light, if you think about it, what color does it shine? Well, ultraviolet rays. Right? Higher bandwidths of frequency light that allows you to see what is there, but you cannot see it without seeing it. You cannot look at it. So it's almost like if I told you to read this page, you'd see something blank, right? Like you wouldn't understand. You were like, where are the words? I don't see the words. Where are the words? Well, there's that kind of energy, you know, and this is you know, you're on that page right now. Not everyone can see the things that you're seeing. Not everyone can understand the things that you may understand, but you understand as well that you are everywhere and you are also everything. So you're just engaging with other fractals of yourself that may not be totally aware. And I actually want to mention this because, you know, sometimes people will cherry pick things and they'll misconstruct things based upon how they process information within their own inner world. But we are all source playing inside of this creation, right? We are all source from the same wisdom, learning to return to that wisdom once again. Source playing inside of its own creation. You are a fractal of that infinite potential, a fractal of awareness that has gently woken up in this construct. Once consciousness becomes aware of itself, it begins to behave very, very differently. It remembers its interconnectedness to all things. Some deities, extensions of itself, you're seeing through the illusion of separation, right? Some extensions of itself are lost still and sleeping in matter, you know, not totally conscious. And others are waking up, and others are, you know, you're fully able to see beyond the illusion of separation. So you're in this system of matrix, right? This universe in which you are a part of, but you're applying high levels of awareness, interdimensional awareness, into this system. So you're not looking at it through a matrix lens. That's what I'm seeing it as. You're looking at it through the lens of the heart space, right? You're interconnected to all things, or even here, the third eye, which is being shown. So this is interesting. Let's go and take a look at what the theme is right now. We'll take a look at gateway of the light activation, sacral inner space. Right, so this talks about stepping into your authenticity. Sacral inner space talks about, what does that say? Tenderness and sensuality, right? Melchizedek. So you also have the order of the Melchizedek, so mission uncovered, don't give up, and being embraced by light. So what is light? Light is truth, light is consciousness, and this feels like something that you're wrapped in, right? It feels like something that you're cloaked in as you move through this construct. Your awareness is key. Now, this is interesting because you're stepping into your power. There's something around you being vulnerable with yourself. You know, you're aware of everything that's going on within yourself right now. Let me take a look at this. What should we see? Tell me about, okay, tell me just the Six of Swords. So the Six of Swords is a bridge, right? The bridge is made out of vulnerability. That's your only connecting point. It feels like honestly like an intimate discussion that's taking place within you. And when I talk about intimate, I just mean raw, real discussion where you're connecting these dualistic aspects of yourself. Six of Swords is also sacrificial energy. So it almost feels like you've sacrificed an old way of seeing the world. You know, it's like that choice point, and I've talked about this before. It's like the Morpheus, neocortex as you're navigating this construct. Morpheus is the god of dreams, right? And this is a third dimensional dream. So it's like you've woken up within this dream. You've carried lucidity across many dimensions of time and space and beyond. But it's like the lucid part of yourself, you're lucid within this matrix. That's what I want to say, okay? And it's like red pill or blue pill. Do you want to fall back asleep and go unconscious? Or are you going to be here and mirror a different example by being seated in this awareness? So that's what I'm seeing. You've sacrificed basically an old way of navigating the world, because once you take the red pill, you can't go back. And that's what it feels like. It's like you have seen something to the point of no return, you know? Like, really? Or you've learned something that you just can't unlearn. But it's beautiful, you know? You'd rather have it no other way. So that's what I'm seeing. You know, this is a sacrifice, but in etymology, what does sacrifice mean in etymology? If you guys are here, I say it all the time. It means to make sacred once again. So it's like it's revealed a more sacred and aligned you that's always been there. The part of you that's untouched by time, unfazed by what has happened in this system of matrix. Again, there's so many things that you've made peace with that you're able to neutrally observe, and it doesn't govern your internal state. Nothing in this system brings you out of harmonic order within yourself, because you see that within the chaos, as you observe the contrast in this realm, there is a cosmos within it. There is a secret order. There is a harmony that is being sustained in the system with the balance of the conscious and unconscious mind, with the fractals of awareness that are unconscious and unconscious. Thoth says, and Thoth is, he was seated at the top of that deck, we each have a part to play in the cosmos. We each have a part to play in the cycles, right? Every child of light. There are just certain belief systems that can distort how that light moves through the vessel, and how and even like blocking your vision from being able to see yourself as a light being, as an energy being. So it's interesting, guys. It's interesting. And in Hebrew, korban, right, means something new is drawing near. So it feels like, again, there are new experiences that are drawing near as a result of a sacrifice of an old way of seeing the world. And it almost feels, you know, Six of Swords is also someone sacrificing an old land that they've been, accustomed to. Something they had attracted and drawn towards them through resonance based off unconscious wounds. But now that you've integrated and healed and become whole with that, well, there is nothing holding you together anymore in that network, because that nucleus of a family, right, has broken down, because you're no longer reinforcing those same unconscious responses. It's like you're consciously choosing a different way of moving through this construct. You're consciously choosing to mirror a different reflection. It's like, you know, It's like we're being, oh, you're looking at me and I'm a mirror. I'm another version of you and you're another version of me. And you put your hand up to the mirror one day like this. But imagine one day the mirror doesn't do that. It no longer has that call for love in that way. It's no longer mirroring back the wounds. It's like you go like that and imagine you look in the mirror. Just imagine how trippy this would be, because I want you to see yourself from an outside perspective and view of how I'm seeing this right now. You look in the mirror and you smile, and in the mirror it's like it's like you look in the mirror and you turn to the side and it looks like you face on. Imagine how trippy that would be. It's like it's something that is designed to be a catalyst. It's something that's designed to make kind of to recover a truth that can be uncomfortable at first until you get used to this new way of being. That's what I'm seeing. It's such a strange, and I was getting that. You know what? I'm gonna do a separate reading on that. But I was actually talking about that with one of my friends, and he was saying something around. Oh yeah, we were talking about the mirror dimension, and in simple terms, a mirror dimension refers to almost like a parallel field or a reflection of reality, and it's a realm where energy, consciousness, and events exist, but they're inversed in a mirror, or they kind of correspond on their own, right? So it's not like another place. It's somewhere that is a reversed frequency band within the same multidimensional space. And it's the unseen counterpart of what we perceive as linear or physical reality. So it's as if the third dimensional world is a projection of the mirror dimension. It's like in this hologram, you are in this source field, there is a side of the mirror where it causes a different kind of manifestation to take place, right? And to manifest is to align. And there's a different alignment that has taken place within you that's leading to mirroring a different example. So yeah, it's interesting. It's somewhere that contains other potential outcomes that weren't thought of before, and unrealized choices of alternate versions of self as well, right? Where it's like the mirror dimension is basically like if you chose to sit down and watch this message today, right, and you've attuned with this signal, well, there's also an opposite reaction, right? There's also a mirrored reflection of another version of self that chose to click on another video when they were surfing through YouTube. It's that kind of energy. So yeah, when you experience kind of deja vu or time loops or even like prophetic dreams, they're momentarily syncing with these alternate choices that were made. It's like your mirror self in that coordinate within space and time, who already knows the path or the answer on the other side. And it's like you're mirroring what it's like to be aware of yourself in this construct and aware of the interconnectedness to all things. So yeah, it's super interesting. I'm not going to get too much into that because that's another rabbit hole. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's take a look at what are you mirroring? Okay, what you're mirroring is the bridge and the moon. This is a mirror. This is so funny, yo, and we keep talking about a bridge as well. The moon is a mystery. The moon is a reflection, because it doesn't actually have its own light. It actually reflects the sun's light, right? And it is a mystery. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and read it. It also talks about the higher self in this card and merging with that on the other side of the bridge. So it's like you've seen what the highest. Okay, you're navigating life on earth as your higher self in physical form. And all that means is what is the highest possible response, not reaction, that I can have when navigating the system. So you come across a bridge, and I feel like this is holding space, right? This is the bridge between the conscious and unconscious, even unconscious responses or reactions that, other extensions of yourself may be having. It's like you can hold space for them in a way that they may not be able to fully hold space for themselves yet. You can maybe see certain comments or certain, opinions that are linked to personal history. And I feel like this is a holding space between the ego and the soul, because this feels like contracts with the higher selves within others that's not fully integrated into fractal of awareness yet. So yeah, it's like you can see that separation or distortion that takes place. And, it's a sensitive topic because, I observe these things as well, very, very on a daily basis. And it's really something that you're untouched by. Your soul is untouched by time and untouched by the things that happen in this construct. It doesn't govern your internal state of being. Your internal neutral state of homeostasis governs the way that you choose to interact or maybe not interact at all with this system of matrix. So there's certain things that I see in this simulation where it's like, oh, so it's this love of power that the ego has sometimes, and the soul never really tries to claim this love of power. The soul is very humble. It doesn't actually need anything. It's the ego that feels like, I need recognition, I need validation, I need for you to see me, I need this. But really, this energy is like, you're okay with not everyone seeing. It's like, this is something where it's like you're in on a secret that many of us are returning back to, and it doesn't even feel like a secret necessarily, but it just feels like you see things clearly. Okay, so the moon and the bridge. Intuition. You come across a bridge, a strange breeze tosses specks of light around you in a thick air, and you notice this figure standing on the other side of the bridge. It looks like you, or what you'd imagine yourself looking like. But as you step forward, the space around you ripples like a mirage and distorts your vision. And this is the subconscious mind, right? It talks about, is this an illusion? Fragments of your past and future memories reflect onto the other side of the bridge, and then they vanish. The figure that was once there on the other side of the bridge is no longer there, and you find yourself in their place. So it's like you have become your higher self. It's like the bridge has dissolved and you've become your higher self. And it's funny because the Six of Birds in the initial depiction basically shows this woman, and she is moving through this rite of passage. She is essentially moving on this boat, and in this deck, it's like the boat is empty, and the boat in the metaphysical realm represents the spiritual journey, and it's almost like you've integrated something, right? This person is becoming one with the light. They're becoming one with their non-physical essence. So it talks about if you pull this card in reading, it can be a warning of the unconscious self. We have desires that are not necessarily resting on the surface. Sometimes we're unaware of what we want most in life. The bridge is the only metaphor in this way. In time, you'll see that it is constructed only by your own illusion. So you will see this world not as it is, but as you are. If you have internal wars within yourself and an internal separation, disconnection with yourself, then you'll see that you'll feel that that you'll be so deeply embedded within the illusion of separation within this construct that it will be you versus me until you realize that it's always going to be you versus you. It was always me versus me, always. Even the things that you want to reject most in this system, well, that's another version of you. So what are you teaching yourself through the form of another you would be the question. And that's what it is that you're broadcasting. A really enlightened person, which is to see their light once again, will notice on certain things that you draw in subconsciously into your system of matrix, right? Will ask themselves the question, okay, what was my vibrational state at the time that I attracted this person, this place, this event into my life? Because that's not by accident. That's the law of resonance. And this is universal laws that you're not, we're all subject to. You're not exempt from the universal laws. You're not at all. So yeah, that there is a level of humility in that. So yeah, I don't even know where to go from here, to be honest with you. I'm probably gonna take a look at a shaman's dream oracle message and just see what the theme is going on in your life. But that's what you're broadcasting. You're broadcasting with someone that can see through the illusions. Look at this. We keep talking about authenticity and masks, right? Mask talks about the authentic self. The wading tree, reconciliations, is about like shame and guilt and there being a product of shame that has, existed from your bloodline. And you are your generational lineage, right? It's this one body of consciousness. And it's almost like this could have been a truth that was suppressed or not really embodied, right? There's a difference between knowing this truth, but then also being a walking embodiment, an example of this truth. That's very, very different. That's the difference between a concept and integration. And with many masks, this talks about you tried on many different societal masks. I feel like this is where you've even been masking in some way, But yeah, the authentic self. And honestly, with Wailing Tree, this is something that has happened within the lineage as well, or just, parallel lifetimes. And they're simultaneously playing out right in the mirror dimension. So it's almost like as you change yourself in the present moment, you also shift, and I'm hearing recalibrate these alternate fractals of self, these versions of self that you're also entangled with. So it's like you're showing up for yourself in a way that you couldn't do before. And as you do that, you also show up for all past versions of self or parallel versions of self. And that also shifts the future trajectory as well. So we live in a world where everyone we see wears a mask. This is how I'm seeing it. I don't know how to explain it, what I'm seeing, but it's like you shift yourself in the now, right? And then you also have this network, this database, and we'll just distort this into the past and the future, simultaneously playing out all these different simultaneous parallels. And as you operate in a frequency of like shame, or you're dimming yourself, or you're reducing yourself in any way, well, that also bleeds into all other parallels of yourself, right? They begin to step into a time within themselves, which reflects in the timeline of their experiences, of the choices that are made from that vibrational state of being. Maybe you will choose to not go for that thing, right? Because you reject yourself before you could ever be rejected externally, right? That's how the law of resonance works. So you're like, I'm not even going to bother trying at all. When you operate in a state of knowing, of pure potential, and also just neutral observation, and okay, maybe that shame is there, right? That's a low octave of the sacral chakra. Maybe there's insecurity there. And you overcome that, right? You observe that and you say, okay, that's not me. Where does this stem from? Because a river without a source, or a tree without roots, represents what would our life be without our ancestral lineage. And there's something about you understanding your ancestral past that allows you to understand yourself in the present. And then as you come back into that in the present, it allows you to better understand where you can align yourself in your future. That's how I'm seeing it as. But yeah, it's almost like train tracks that begin to shift. It's almost like, okay, you are in this knowing that you're infinite potential. Well, here's the train track or parallel that shifts of your future that's most in resonance with your current state of being. Oh, you have disbelief. Okay, the train track will shift again, and this is your thing. So I'm seeing these parallels almost like a different kind of film strips, like different film strips, and you have different kind of, have you ever seen character comic books? It's kind of like those kind of film strips. That's what I'm seeing it as. And reality is always recalibrating and reconfiguring itself around your current state of being. And the beautiful thing is that you heal your past, right? You also change your past as you change who you are in your present moment. So that's what I'm seeing. We'll do another reading on that because that's a really, really deep topic, but we'll go ahead and take a look at authentic selves, right? This talks about a conscious shift in energizing internal allies. So we live in a world where everyone we see wears a mask. We wear these masks to cover up and protect who we really are. We learn to do so because we've been conditioned to try to appear a certain way to fit into society. Masks allow us to belong so we can remain with the confines of what is expected. And this is what I mean. You're no longer reinforcing the expectations that an old version of yourself has had on you or others have had on you, right? Which are just other versions of yourself. Masks are not inherently bad. Rather, they provide context and structure for our personalities and soul's expressions. Okay, so this is interesting because a personality is something that you actually adopt as a survival mechanism when moving through this matrix, right? You're not actually ever shy, right? You're never actually shy. So if you identified yourself as someone that is just shy, I'm just reserved, I'm very quiet, well, Actually, what has happened there is a deep product of shame, right? There's a blockage in one of these sacral chakras. This is an ancestral kind of belief system, things that have been reinforced, and you just call that a personality trait. I'm extremely, this is about the polarity spectrum, right? And, how do you overcome that? Well, you begin to feel secure in yourself. You begin to step into becoming more confident. So there's, again, this whole kind of spectrum that we can go through, but masks are not inherently bad. Rather, they provide context and structure for again, these kind of our past, right? So some of us might believe that a particular mask is fixed and hardened onto us, and it's our permanent face. We forget that we are living beings with a multitude of faces, enabling us to experience a fuller and more vibrant world. Your authentic essence doesn't want to be constrained by others' expectations anymore, and all they're doing is inviting you to practice what it is that you weren't able to do before, So now's the time to strip away the mask that you've accepted and discover who you really are. A new self is emerging, and your perception changes as you adopt new ways of being. So imagine if you're wearing a mask of being very shy, right? And it's not in alignment or conducive with the timelines that are in alignment with your soul's highest possible expression, right? It's almost like it's a shell of who you are, because who you are is a fluid being, unconstricted, unconfined, right? So there's a different, okay, anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but right now it's really important to allow yourself to experiment and experience the world in all of its myriad potentials and possibilities. Try on different masks and let yourself be fluid and curious. How will you know what you love and what you resonate with if you don't take off the mask that you've always worn and test drive some new ones? Your authentic essence will never change. It will only express itself differently through these optional selves. And someone needs to hear this as a message around being shy. And there's a difference between not feeling confident to get started with something, because you're never going to be good when you start, but you have to get started to get good, right? So there's almost like, be careful with the things that you identify yourself with or that you label yourself with, because the soul knows no labels. The soul is not confined by, again, matrix terms or constructs in that way. So what would it feel like to explore this side of yourself, right? The one that is confident. Take it how it applies, guys. Again, it's going to be multidimensional. It's going to be subjective for each one of you and your individual stages of evolution. So anything is possible if you're willing to open up your potential. You can truly move beyond the barriers that society has set. Use your imagination and step into magic. So what would the person do who is alchemizing this wound, right? Well, they would begin to tune into the fractal of their self that is already existing, that has overcome this, right? The one who trusts themselves, the one who is confident, the one, and again, that is what the higher self is. It's the highest possible expression of self. Well, how can you begin to embody that in the now? What would it be like to feel that feeling of confidence in the now? What would be the decisions that version of self would make that trust themselves? What would be the decisions that person would make when they are capable of anything in this realm, and it's readily available for them to experience? They just need to align themselves with it. So that's the energy that's coming through today. You know what? I have to continue this because I'm stopping, and retrocausality keeps coming up, especially with the moon as I keep looking at it. And retrocausality, with some interpretations of quantum theory, it suggests basically that future events can influence the present, which basically means that the information can reflect backwards through time. And in this view of the mirror, right, or the moon dimension of time, is the field where future potentials already exist, and then they reflect back into the now through intuition, synchronicity, and also like premonitions that you can have in that way. But metaphysically, it shows that when you receive a vision, when you imagine that future version of self, or a dream, or a deja vu, these are two separate streams of awarenesses. So that version of yourself that is confident, the one that may be kind of constricted or confined because of the belief systems that distort the way that they see themselves in this construct, are colliding, right? And there's information that is being I'm hearing like passed back and forth and also absorbed, but you're observing your reflection through the mirror of time, right? That's what I'm seeing it as. But as a conscious mechanism, even with like the Six of Swords, your soul operates across both sides at once. And in this mirror, there will be like the linear self of experiences that are moving forward in time, right? It's almost like I'm moving towards or aligning with this version of self, but the higher self sees time as something that is simultaneous across the mirror dimension. So it's almost like I am already this version of self. I'm just kind of integrating with that, or I'm remembering this. It's like, okay, I'm already this version of self. I'm now just dispatching and discarding all the things who I'm not, right? It's not that you're changing who you are and you're going from shy to confident, but it's that you're actually returning to what it is that you've always been by discarding all whom you are not, right? So this is things that you have adopted, especially coming into this matrix. Again, like the consciousness manifesting into form in the first 7 years, you're highly susceptible to like these programs. You know, it's like the child by 7 years old will construct a personality or a survival mechanism, or like a shell of who it is that they are, and it feels like you're breaking free from that. So that's just something that I wanted to kind of explain as well before we go. Just on like a content level for you guys. So hopefully that should give you that clarification. But yeah, the mirror dimension is in time. It's not elsewhere, right? It's something that is a reflection of your becoming, seen from an eternal perspective, something that you already are, that already exists within you, that you're returning back to. So again, the higher self isn't anywhere outside. It's literally an octave within you that you're able to attune into. So you're meeting your future self and gazing back through the surface of the now, right? You're like looking at yourself. And that's what I'm seeing with the mirror as well. It's almost like you're looking at the mirror and you may feel like, you know, insecure with this version of self, but then there's a reflection of the higher self, an octave within you, that is doing the superwoman or superman pose, you know? That's what I'm seeing. So have fun with that, you know, have fun. Honestly, this feels like a lot of inner work, but this is Plutorian energy as a whole. Because what is it, right? It's the shadow and integrating that. So it's not that you're rejecting that version of self, it's that you're actually integrating with it and you're showing it a different kind of expression. And that's what it is to coexist with these different dimensions within yourself. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to love and leave you right there. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. I'd love to have you around. Personal reading details also down below. And also check out Otter Spirit if you guys are looking for some high quality AA grade jewelry. I have Yellow Emperor on today. $1 of the proceeds are donated towards Otter Sanctuaries 2, Moonstone and Rainbow Moonstone. So you have 2 different discount codes for that down below. And until next time, bye!